Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are live, back again. Still not a cameraman. Joe's still on the camera. We're working on it. Got a couple new lights today.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. Daddy got some new fucking toys. That's nice to have.
Got some new
lights.
toys.
And welcome back. And this is an important episode because it's episode 60 of Backhouse Productions. I love doing 10-episode anniversaries. I love it when we get to 50. I love it when we get to 60.
There's nothing better than like a 50 or a 100er.
We got to get drunk for 100.
Yeah, that 60's just
like we got to take shots on the 100th episode.
I honestly
of this.
don't think of anything as a 60. It's like UFC. It's like nobody cares unless it's UFC 200. Like UFC 300's coming up in a couple of months. That's like supposed to be the biggest deal ever.
It's the little victories.
Yeah, but the century marks are the big deal.
I know, and we're getting drunk for that century mark, and hopefully we get that by the next 3 months. But it's, little victories are smart. They're nice. I just started binge watching Star Wars.
Yeah, I was on that kick about a year ago.
And damn it, it makes me
on
just...
Disney Plus? Yeah.
No, I'm watching it on Hulu.
Oh,
but when I'm thinking, when I'm watching I'm watching the first 3 episodes right now, the one made in the 90s and 2000s with Anakin turning into Darth Vader. The entire movie, I'm just watching and I'm thinking about, like, God, Disney really just took a shit on this franchise. Like, they completely ruined the film.
Are you going to watch so you're watching, what one are you on right now?
I'm on Revenge of the Sith. So I'm on the third episode.
One?
Yeah.
So you're gonna watch 4, 5, and 6, obviously, after this. Are you going to watch 7, 8, 9?
No, I'm just going to skip.
The Awake of the Force or whatever.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9's like Godfather 3. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to watch it.
I didn't, that's what I did. I just watched 1 through 6. I didn't
just
even watch
completely
the new
forget
ones.
about
I have
it.
no idea what's going on in the new ones.
It's like, they kill off Han Solo and Rey. Like, I can't get into it. It's dumb. The second the Death Star gets destroyed and Luke Skywalker's victorious, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's true.
It makes me think, like, first off, if I was George Lucas, I would definitely sell that franchise for $1 billion. It's hard to turn down $1 billion. But damn it, dude, imagine making something out of your own imagination and then selling that thing for $1 billion. Like, think of the skill. Think of, like, the story writing that he did with it. Because I what makes any good story, I think, honestly, is when you cannot tell who's good and evil, right? Like, when it's black and white, it's super obvious. Like, you think of, like, a kid's, like, movie or something. Like, it's so obvious. Like, ooh, he's the villain and this is the hero. But in Star Wars, it's like you don't know who's who, right? Like,
what do you mean?
Because I'm talking about, like, the Sith Lord, right? Palpatine. He's in the Republic. He's running the Republic. Like, he's supposed to be the good guy.
Yoda knows.
Yoda doesn't know, though, because they're like, there's something fishy happening in the Senate.
He knows with Anakin when he's a kid, dude. He knows there's something wrong with this kid.
But my question is, why doesn't Yoda stop it immediately? Because he's got a lot of anger in him. You know what I mean? And then
because Yoda Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's his guy, dude.
No, that's Qui-Gon, dude. Qui-Gon was riding for Anakin. Even Obi-Wan's like, I don't even know if he is the chosen one.
No, Qui-Gon's Obi-Wan's guy.
Yeah, no, but Qui-Gon discovered Anakin. It was like, he's the chosen one, and he told Yoda, like, we want to train him. We want to be his apprentice. Who's calling?
Some random.
Gosh damn it.
Doesn't matter.
But like, is Yoda overrated?
No.
Like, why doesn't Yoda stop anything? If he's the most powerful guy in the galaxy, why does he not just put a stop to it immediately?
You know what's so funny about Yoda? You haven't got? I mean, you've obviously seen the other ones, but
yeah.
On like number 5 or 6, like when Luke discovers Yoda, like Yoda starts training him, and like they're in like some crazy
like jungle.
Place. It's like the Dagobah system or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're in like the jungle, and Yoda's just on his back, and he's training Luke. That's the greatest. But Yoda looks so much different in that one than he does in like the new ones.
Oh yeah, because the animation. I mean, I think they started the first movies 4, 5, and 6. I think they started in that order because they didn't have the technology.
Yeah, they didn't. That's why they did it. But what? Yeah, like the drones and all that shit. But what do you think? Who's like your favorite character, but that nobody would expect you to say? Like not Yoda or Obi-Wan or.
I'm gonna say. I mean, Sam L. Jackson's
That's
character.
What I was just gonna say.
The guy with the purple lightsaber. Are you kidding me?
Windu.
Think about being the baddest motherfucker in Star Wars.
You have a purple lightsaber.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna be in this movie, but the only way I want to be in this movie if I stand out.
I love the early ones. Like you got like Count Dooku.
Count Dooku was a badass.
What's the General Grievous? Mm-hmm. Dude, all those guys.
But I
used to play the Lego Star Wars games, and those were the best ones, the early ones.
It's such a great franchise, and it's just like Disney once again has ruined a film. They ruined the Marvel. They ruined Star Wars. It's like, what else are they gonna ruin? You know what I mean? They're going back on their own films and ruining it now. But
Yeah,
dude,
but they
I
make
mean,
a shit ton of money on them. They don't care.
I
They
know.
make a shit ton of money.
I know, but it's a Godfather 3.
Like off Avengers, all those Avengers, they make $1 billion each.
They're just dropping Godfather
Star
3s
Wars,
every year
yeah,
now.
yeah.
They're just like money grab, money grab, money grab, money grab, and it's
Dude,
all awful.
They're a corporation. They gotta make funds for their stockholders.
But would it kill them to make a good movie though? Like I get the inclusion and the equality shit.
I think and the crazy thing is like they spend so much money on those Avengers movies and all those. Like they spend hundreds of millions of dollars.
You know what?
It's like if you're gonna spend that much money, just make a good movie.
Make a good movie.
But they don't care. They're just like, we'll spend couple hundred million. We're gonna make $1 billion. We don't care if it's good or not.
We're just gonna jam it down the public's face and have freaking who's the girl from Jurassic Park be like the empress of the entire galaxy in the new Star Wars films? I don't know.
Oh, I don't even
But
know
there's,
the new Star Wars.
the empresses, they're all girls.
I know Natalie
and
Portman.
everything's girl. Oh yeah, Natalie Portman can
Portman.
get it. Natalie Portman can definitely get it, dude. The way they like made women characters in the 90s and 2000s, like they're included in the films and they're big roles in the films.
Wait, don't tell me what I'm trying to think. What's Natalie Portman? Don't tell me what her name. Padme.
Yeah, Padme.
Padme.
Dude, goddamn, Natalie Portman looked good in the 90s. You kind of
She was
forget as time
young,
keeps
dude.
going.
When do you think she was born? She was probably only 20 years old.
She was probably
in that
born in
movie.
like 80s, 81,
Yeah,
82.
She's probably not even 20 in those movies.
Yeah, maybe. But dude, it's a great franchise until Disney. I recommend don't watch 7, 8, and 9. They're horrible, and then all the spin-offs.
How do you know? Have you watched them?
I have.
Oh, I haven't.
No, I
even
have
watched
watched them, and it
I
was
haven't
horrible.
watched them.
Actually, you know what? The only one I kind of liked was Han Solo, Han Solo movie, the younger
I
Han
forgot
Solo.
they even did that.
They said it was the worst one.
I
It's like they
forgot
lost
they
the most
even
money
did
on
it.
that film.
I forgot they even did that.
I actually thought it was decent. But let's see. What do we want to say?
I think I did watch The Force Awakens, the number 7 one, at the movie theaters when it came out a couple years ago, just because like it was such a big deal. Like Star Wars is coming back, and I watched it, but I just didn't.
Just
like,
so disappointing.
Yeah.
So disappointed.
Yeah, I wasn't even expecting much.
You want to know? I had another disappointment happen to me, and I'm gonna tell you why.
What?
Fantasy football.
I don't even want to get into the game.
I think not only am I cursed, I think my fantasy football team is cursed. Because what I witnessed last night was I lost by a point with 5 seconds left because Drew Lock had to throw a freaking touchdown.
Perfect.
Drew Lock decides to play good all of a sudden. You know?
When it was coming into that last drive and like they had the ball in the 8-yard line and there was like a minute 30 left, a minute 40 left, I was just thinking to myself, they only have one timeout. I'm like, and I had the Eagles minus 3.5. They were winning by 4. So I'm like, thank God they have to get a touchdown. They're not going to kick a field goal. They have to get a touchdown. And then it's 3rd and 10, and they make that big DK play. And I'm like, shit. He was in bounds. All right, clock's going to keep running. I'm like, whatever. They still got 35 yards to go. Another 3rd and 10. They run the exact same play, just with somebody else on the same side. Everything. They run the exact same play on 3rd and 10. Drew Lock makes a perfect throw. Jackson Smith and Jigba makes a perfect catch. I mean, it was his fingertips.
Yeah,
man.
it was a crazy catch.
Just perfect catch, perfect throw, and my heart dropped and I walked out because I had a free bet, $200 free bet to win $180 on it.
I'm a little curious too for if you're a defensive coordinator and you're calling late game defensive coverages, why have a single high safety? Why can't you just drop 2 guys?
Why do you run man every time when they got guys like DK Metcalf?
You're pressing the guy. The guy has a singled up. All you got to do is look the safety, and the guy runs deep, and he's open. He just has to beat the one man. They do it every time. They march down the field, 92 yards.
Yeah, that's
Drew Lock.
That's why I was so confident. I'm like, dude, they got a backup quarterback. There's no way this guy makes these throws. I've been watching him miss throws all night.
His entire career, he's missed throws. He got traded from Denver. That's a Russ trade.
That was that was heartbreaking. And then I had, I love betting Fred VanVleet over on points.
Yeah.
Of course he hits on like the 3rd quarter, so I'm cool on that.
What is the spread on that?
16.5.
For Fred VanVleet?
They went to OT, but he still dropped like 25. But like in the 4th quarter, he had like 21. But so then I'm like, I'm at $50. I'll just put it on the Lakers live plus 2.5. They lost last night.
Yeah, I know. I watched that game too.
That was rough.
There's not a single guy on that team that can hit a fucking 3.
That's what pissed me off the most. Is that Taurean Prince starts chucking up threes. He does 3 threes or 2 threes in a row and screwed them. If they would have just got 2 easy buckets by AD or LeBron, they could have won that game.
And now I'm on the anti-Cam Reddish train too. Because I've seen him. He's been bricking so many shots. The guy can't make a shot.
I can't believe they even still play him.
The guy can't. I mean, it's just so embarrassing that coming into the draft, you got compared to Paul George.
John,
it's a slap to every scout's face.
Paul George makes 6 3-pointers a night.
Paul George is so good. They were comparing him to Paul George. Like, this guy is a light out shooter. He can create his own shot. The guy can't do any of it. He can't do anything.
I was saying I hate Cam Reddish from the first game of the season.
We need to find a way to trade Cam Reddish for a second-round pick. Something. I don't know. We got to make a trade because the Lakers. It's not a complete team.
Worth a second-round pick.
I mean, I watched so many threes bricked last night.
Dude, honestly, the NBA, like who's the best rookie this year? You'd say other than Wembanyama.
Well, do you want to count Chet Holmgren?
No,
because he's unbelievable. Yeah, that guy's averaging like 7 blocks.
Yeah, he's cool. But who else? Not Wembanyama. Who else?
Scoot's kind of not playing great.
He gets like honestly, 4 points a game.
The guy for the Heat, Jacquez something.
I don't even
like
know.
He was a late pick. Like the Heat found another steal. They always do that with undrafted guys and second rounders.
Say like, feels like in the NBA, like how many years has Anthony Edwards been in the league?
Probably like 4 or 5.
Like I'm trying to think of a real star that's been drafted other than Anthony Edwards in the last like 3-4 years.
Jason Tatum? No, he's older now.
No, he's way older.
Ja Morant, LaMelo Ball, Zion Williamson.
I feel like Edwards is younger than Zion and LaMelo, yeah.
LaMelo's in the same class
as Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
He might be even a year younger than him.
Oh, Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
That dude's a stud. Darius
Garland.
He
had like 0 points last night.
Yeah, I know. He's,
His over and under was 26.5.
I can't believe he averages that much. The Pacers just like have such a high flying offense.
Dude, he gets like 30 points a game. I think the Kings are very good right now.
No, the Kings are good. I mean,
De'Aaron Fox gets 30 a game. Domantas Sabonis gets 20-something a game. He gets 15 rebounds a game, 8 assists a game. I mean, the guy's unbelievable.
I think it's so funny how the way NBA franchises are like constructed to be good. Like, I feel like.
Why do you think they're constructed like that to be like what? When did it change to when it started becoming like super teams? Like when was it the Heat?
No, okay. People like to say it was LeBron who started the Big Three era. It was the Celtics with KG, Garnett.
Yeah, but people.
KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen.
But they had those guys. Like, when did that team all like when 07? They were been together since
07, 08?
Yeah. So, but people weren't ever labeling it as like a Big Three. Or
yeah, they were. Yeah, they were.
Because
Boston was like 17-65 the year before, and then the following year they signed Ray Allen and KG, the Big Three, and they won the championship and won 65 games. Completely flipped their record based off of 1 year. So they started, and so that propelled LeBron from leaving because he couldn't beat Boston.
About this. But okay, so if they assembled in like 07, 08, LeBron didn't go to the Heat till 2012.
2010.
2010?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's only a year or two later because I was thinking it was like
because he lost to Boston twice in the playoffs.
Once the Heat assembled, I guess then it started. I guess the Warriors, Kevin, like.
Yeah,
the Clippers kind of started getting. Who did they have?
They had
they had Blake Griffin.
Chris Paul goes to the Clippers in 2012. So that's when Lob City starts in 2012, and that goes till 18.
Good. Clippers just can never win. Comes back to the Clippers.
Can't get over the hump. They're a cursed franchise, like my fantasy team, and Justin Herbert, who was on my fantasy team for the Chargers. No, but like there's certain teams in the NBA, like for Sacramento, has been good in 20 years, and that their last good team was just a bunch of solid dudes, like just a bunch of solid players, not one superstar. That's the same way this Kings team is constructed. They got Keegan Murray, they got De'Aaron Fox,
and
Sabonis,
honestly, that's
Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes.
Other than Jokic on the Nuggets, that's kind of how the Nuggets are.
Yeah.
Together, other than Jokic.
It's, the Big Three era had a phase, but now you can't just win with superstars anymore. Because there's just so many.
It doesn't work. We've seen it. Like, look at the Suns right now. Look at the Suns.
Yeah.
And they can't even win a game.
Yeah, I think they're like the 10th seed right now in the West.
Yeah, dude, they're like 12-10, or not 12-10, but like I think they've only got like 2 or 3 wins above 500.
Yeah, that's what happens though. Like over time, when something is so groundbreaking and new, like Big Threes, like we're going to sign all the big superstars if we have enough cap, and then forget about the 9 other players that are going to be on the team. They're all going to be on league minimum contracts or veteran minimums.
Yeah, that's the problem. And then
but now the depth is not. The depth hasn't caught up.
That's why I like teams like the Nuggets are so good.
Yeah.
But I was wanting to get to this, like if you're Mark Cuban or if you're the GM for the Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think Kyrie's that good.
They're good, though. They're like the third seed right now.
They're really good. Luka drops 35 a game.
Yeah.
And he gets 10 assists
Ever since he had a kid, he's been unbelievable.
He's unbelievable. And What do you do? Who do you get with Kyrie Irving? Because if it was me, I'm getting rid of Kyrie Irving and I'm getting like 2 solid guys.
So basically, what they traded away to get Kyrie Irving, because that's exactly who they traded.
Who'd
for.
they trade away?
Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, a couple first rounders.
Yeah, well, that's when they screwed up as the first rounders. But I honestly would get rid of an NBA. In first round NBA draft picks are a lot different than first round NFL draft picks.
Yeah.
Like a lot different.
Way different.
Because I feel like guys who come into the NBA in drafts, you've got 1 or 2 guys who are going to be actual solid starters, and the other 58 of them are kind of just shit.
Yeah, the thing about the NBA, it's like after the first 8 picks of the draft, you're not going to find a transcendent player unless you're like you get super lucky with Jokic or Giannis.
Yeah.
Like that rarely happens.
But then like you've got in the NFL, you could draft a guy in the 5th round who could be one of the starting right now.
Well, dude, because they're
Making
grown
a
men.
difference. Yeah.
Like they're 24 going into the draft, 22
Yeah.
going into the draft. They're not 19 or 18.
Yeah, that's true. Especially
You know what I mean?
right now. Yeah, you're right.
Like imagine being
But-
an 18-year-old. Like think about how hard it is to be 18 years old and get thrown $10 million.
Yeah, like Jalen Green.
Jalen Green, like all those dudes, you're noticing all these guys like are messing up. They're in the media for something. Like Josh Giddey. Think about Josh Giddey. That's a bad thing. How do you handle so much money and so much power at such a young age? It's
Well,
almost
what about
impossible.
okay? So what would you do with Kyrie Irving if you're the GM on that team on the Mavericks?
I'm keeping that because I think the experiment's working. 'Cause, I mean, this is the
He
first
doesn't
full
even
season.
play.
I know, but when he's been playing, they're the 3rd seed right now.
Yeah, but dude,
He's been playing majority of the games.
I bet his under every night. It's always like 24.5, 26.
I think he's averaging like 20. Yeah.
Yeah, he never gets his over. Barely.
So
very
based off you
rarely.
losing money or
No, I
making
win
money,
money. That's
so
dude. It's always under. That's why I bet guys like Fred VanVleet. He's always over. He's a great. I think Fred VanVleet's a great.
well, yeah.
player.
If Kyrie had a line of 16.5, you're
Do
going to
you
take the
think-
over every time.
Do you think that the Rockets, if Kyrie didn't care where he was going, do you think the Rockets would trade VanVleet and what's that Smith guy's name?
Oh,
they have?
Jabari Smith.
Do you think they trade Jabari Smith and Red VanVleet for Kyrie Irving?
No.
They wouldn't do that.
No. I wish he would have went to the Lakers.
VanVleet?
No, Kyrie. I wish we would have
Shit.
made that trade happen. Like,
No.
I think the Lakers, this is the thing about big threes, is that I think it only makes sense is if you're the best guy in the league, like Steph Curry, Durant, like that just makes sense. Like that's just drop God really good. But like look at the Oklahoma City teams, Westbrook, Carmelo, and Paul George. Like they're kind of like A- players. They're not A+ transcendent players that like win championships and carry the load. I think big threes probably only work with LeBron or Durant. Like that's the only way they work. Because you look at the Harden experiments, like he's been on every team he goes to is a super team. They always
He
are
sucks.
disappointing.
I think though, if you had a team like, if you could just put Steph and Jokic on a team, they will win.
Dude, I hope
I don't
Luka
care.
and Nikola Jokic join.
That would be crazy.
That would be the craziest. Like they would average 160 points.
What
a
if
game.
it was Steph, Luka, and Jokic?
They don't have enough money and the cap wouldn't allow it. Like we're not the Los Angeles Dodgers here,
Yeah,
right?
well,
There's a
guys-
cap space.
I think guys like at this point, except Jokic, but guys like Luka will get there. But guys like Curry and eventually Luka, maybe in a year or two after this next contract, he might be like, just give me 25 a year. Steph, give me 25 a year. And then you're going to have to pay probably Jokic 45, 50.
Steph's not taking 25. Steph's making 55 right now.
Dude, I know, but to win 3 championships in a row.
Dude, he's already got 4.
Get 7.
Dude, okay, I think the Golden State, that era, the big 3 era for them with Clay and Draymond and him, it's over. But I think Curry wants to stay.
Wait,
as a
what
Warrior.
was their last year they won the championship? 2021?
2022.
2022?
So they won it 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was impressed. Wait, what year did the Bucks win? 2021?
21 against the Suns.
And then who won last year? The Nuggets.
Nuggets won, yeah. And then hey, ask who won in 20.
I don't care.
Ask who won in 20.
You've already admitted it's a bubble ring.
Yeah,
The
the
Lakers
hardest
did.
ring ever.
Okay, well, Steph, that year that they won in 2022
Mm-hmm.
was who did they beat that year?
They beat Boston.
Yeah.
They beat Boston with Tatum.
I thought after that kind of cemented Steph as one of the best players of all
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. You get the 4 championships. You've been to 6 finals. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
It's not even like their team was. I mean, Wiggins was playing unbelievable.
Wiggins was an all-star starter that
yeah,
year.
but when you look at their team though, like right now at face value, it's like really unless you know how good Wiggins
that
was
team
playing.
was loaded.
Who did they have?
Curry, Thompson came back that year. Jordan Poole was playing insane, which got him that
That's
max
what
contract.
I'm saying,
No,
though.
Jordan Poole got that max contract from that playoff.
They
run.
were playing insane that year, but
Draymond played unbelievable. Kevon Looney.
I get that.
Kuminga. Moody.
Wiggins. But when you look at it at face
Wiggins,
value
yeah.
now, like if you don't know how good everybody was playing
Mm-hmm.
when they won that, like if you would have just looked at that team now,
Yeah,
you'd
they were
be like,
saying another dynasty after that championship because like everyone's young.
yeah, but everybody was just playing amazing. Everybody was playing the best basketball of their lives.
Yeah, well, what turned out was Draymond and Jordan Poole couldn't find good team chemistry together, so that kind of dismantled the entire season and their whole momentum to
Jordan
get
Poole's
repeating.
kind of a push.
Jordan Poole declined. Klay Thompson declined drastically. Draymond's going to be Draymond, but he's only going to give you 7 points a game and maybe 60 games a year. And then Curry's going to be Curry, and then Wiggins didn't play as well. Kuminga didn't elevate as
well, they're really
fast
not
as he
playing
thought.
good this year.
Yeah,
They're
no,
really
they
not playing
benched
good
Wiggins
this year.
They benched
Yeah.
Wiggins. They got to get rid of that entire team. I think you got to keep Curry and then just like try and start up again because Curry's good enough to win another championship.
Curry may never leave.
No, he's going to try and do like a Kobe or like Tim Duncan
Good
where
for
he stays
him.
20 years.
Good for him.
Yeah, it's a storybook ending.
He's in like what, season 16?
Yeah, it's season 15, 16. Yeah, he's been there forever. But so is Dre and Clay, so I don't know.
I think Steph's could go season 20 and retire, maybe even more than that, but I don't think because he reminds me not just like LeBron, but he's small. He doesn't have to carry as much weight as LeBron does on his joints. I mean, he can last, and it's just if he could keep his speed, the way he can run around.
Well, and
that's
then
the biggest thing for him.
Well, yeah, he's got to be able to keep shooting the ball 40% above.
He can shoot the ball.
Because he's just going to continue being a defensive liability the older he gets.
Yeah.
He won't be able to keep up with those fast guards like DeJounte
and
Murray
we'll
and
think
shit.
about how much he runs around every game. He's just running around trying to get open.
Like, when does that go away?
That's what I'm saying.
And then it's like Klay Thompson. Like, Klay Thompson's expendable now because he's only shooting
What season
34%.
is Klay in?
Season 13.
Yeah, Clay's just
Like, they've all been there. Like, you don't even hear that
he's had
anymore.
a couple of injuries.
People love a good story. That's why the Warriors are so beloved, right? You get to
Who do you think's
see them
winning it this
form a
year?
team from the
Who do you think's
ground up.
winning it this year?
Who's going to win it this year?
I had the Mavericks
It
at
should
20-1.
be. It should be Boston.
Yeah.
Boston's completely loaded with Tatum, Brown, Kristaps Porzingis,
I don't even think Porzingis is that good.
Derek White, Al Horford,
Horford's cool.
Drew Holiday. Like,
Yeah.
they're loaded. Like, they should definitely win it. But
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that
I thought they were better. I thought they had a better team last year.
Okay, let's play a little scenario here. Would you rather be a construction worker? Would you rather be a construction worker, or would you rather start your own business? But you don't see, like, you're going to be a millionaire if you start this business, but you're not going to make any of that money until you reach 38 years old.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to
that's
be
a
making money, you're going to be
no-brainer.
grinding for 18 years of your life until you actually get that business off the ground. What are you picking? Construction worker or business owner?
It's hard to say because anybody can do that. Like, I was watching this thing. I'd obviously pick the business owner thing, but it's hard to say because, like, if I pick the business owner thing, why don't I go and do it? Because I was watching this thing of somebody's talking, and they were saying you could go to school and learn to be, like, an electrician. Go to school for 2 years. Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit of money, but learn to be an electrician, go apprentice with somebody for a couple years, like another 2 years. So you're 4 years in, you've learned everything you need to on the job, then go start your own business. And then within 5 years, it's going to be a $10 million business. But it's like, yeah.
Like, why not?
It
like,
says
venture
it's
off
that
on your own?
easy. It says it's that easy,
But it's not. It's way harder than being the construction worker. The guy with the salary, it's a way easier living.
Yeah, that's what
Money's
You don't have
guaranteed.
to worry about anything. Yeah, you just got to show up. But
You do your little part. Make your nut.
There's no freedom in that.
There's no freedom in it, but there's a lot less volatility with it, right? You don't have to control the logistics. You don't have to worry about the entire
comes back to the risk
broad picture.
reward thing again. You gotta.
So you're picking the 38-year-old business owner.
You gotta use money to make money, man.
Okay. Well, I think that distinction is so important because, like, think about, like, all, like, the voyages. Think about, like, the innovation in anything in the world. Think about, like, becoming a Steph Curry. Think about becoming a Jason Tatum. Like, it takes countless hours to just get that good, right? But you have to sacrifice something on the back end. And so is it worth sacrificing so much, like, in the moment joy, like temporary joy?
How tall is Jason Tatum? 6'7"?
6'8".
6'8"? Okay. And then Curry's what, 6'3"?
6'3".
See, it's even hard to say then because when you're a guy, even when you're 6'3", when you're...
Okay, Peyton Pritchard.
How tall is he?
He's 6 foot, 5'11".
I don't even know who he is.
He's a guard for the Boston Celtics, backup.
Okay,
Lights
well,
out three-point
when you're a
shooter.
guy like him, yeah, you got to work your ass off. But when you're a guy like Jason Tatum, you're already 6'5" in high school. You've got already a chance to go. If you can just shoot a basketball pretty well, and you're 6'5", you've already got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, yeah, he still had to work his ass off, but it's different. Like how you were trying to say, like work it off and then you get something on the back end, because he's kind of already expecting. He's like, I'm probably gonna keep growing, and I'm already this good when I'm this age. I'm already better than all my peers.
But even then, it's not a guaranteed shot at it. Like Jason Tatum easily could have just like bottomed out in college and just never made it to the NBA.
Yeah, like a lot of guys probably do that.
Like a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Almost everyone does that.
Yeah.
So is it worth doing that, like sacrificing all that time, wasting away your youth, like actually like working on a craft and trying to get better at something, or like just enjoying the moment, being around others, following the path most traveled instead of the one less traveled?
I think
because it's unclear. You can see the lights on the one traveled, but on the one dark.
I think you got to work your ass off to get anywhere in this world. Like you can't just not work your ass off.
I know. So what do you like? I think that distinction though is important because like what makes someone do it? Like what makes someone jump into an adventure over mundaneness?
Something that you are interested in, something that you like. Like for when you use Jason Tatum as an example, he likes playing basketball. He's good at it, and he can realize I'm tall. I could get to the NBA and take my family and make millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to work your ass off, and it's hard because I always think that you got to work your ass off, but I don't work my ass off nearly as much as I should work my ass off.
But is it working your ass off is the key component, or
it's
is
working
it
your
the
ass
plan?
off?
It's like
that's what I was just getting at. It's working your ass off with direction.
Because what's the element of like working smarter, not harder? Like I could keep banging my head on the wall and be
I'm
working my ass off.
That's what I always say. Work smarter, not harder.
But like it's a cool
but
thing.
It's still working your ass off when you're working smart.
Yeah, because you're proactively trying to figure out a way
to get
to what you want.
My uncle is a perfect example who lives in Colorado. When I was a kid, because they used to live in Bakersfield, and even before I was born, because my oldest cousin, his oldest son's probably 7-8 years older than me,
mm-hmm.
and they lived in the Philippines. It's like when he was probably 6 years old, like before I was born, a couple years before I was born.
Yeah.
And so my uncle went to Arizona, U of A, put himself through college, worked 2-3 jobs, put himself through college.
Just a grinder.
As an aerospace engineer, grinding.
Mm-hmm.
Then gets a job, and as he wanted to be an aerospace engineer, but this is around the 80s or whatever, early 90s when the space program went to shit, so he's not going to go be an aerospace engineer anymore.
We just stopped fighting the Soviets.
Yeah, so then he starts doing oil and stuff, and moves to the Philippines and starts setting up, so he's moving his whole family to the Philippines.
Yeah, he's sacrificing.
Think of the Philippines, yeah, so that's what I'm getting at, sacrificing, working hard, but he's also working smart. He realized, he's just a very smart guy. Mm-hmm. So he goes to the Philippines to do these underwater oil pipelines, to oversee the building of them and stuff. Then he moves back to the States after a couple of years once that project's done. I think he moved to Texas or something. But then my whole younger life until I was 8-9 years old, they lived in Bakersfield. And then they moved to Colorado. And now he's always just been up there. He's on a couple boards of big corporations. And now he's got his own huge energy company. And they buy out other energy companies. He's got, they invest sovereign wealth funds with him. He takes huge amounts of money from, royal families and shit all around the world. He took $1 billion from a wealth fund one time a couple months or a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they were expecting to get it back, in a couple years. He returned it back 5 times over within a year. So now...
And that's just not hard work. That's just being smart.
He's just so smart with everything he does. One of the smartest guys I know. You can sit for example, a couple months ago we were eating dinner at my house, and this was when ChatGPT was I was just learning about it. And,
yeah.
And I was showing him it because he hadn't heard about it yet, and I was telling him you could do whatever you want on this thing. It'll tell you anything. And he starts bringing up these crazy engineering formulas and these certain like laws, like how the reason like water flows through a pipe, like the formula for that, and like the suction or some crazy shit.
Mhm.
And he's literally, and I would type it in, and he's basically reading the definition word for word,
But it's just all on his
all
head.
from his head, just from college.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
From college, he just remembers.
He doesn't. Why he doesn't?
Yeah,
learn,
how would he know that?
He just learns that from college. He doesn't go
He's
look
like a
at that ever
sponge. He
again.
just soaks up information and just runs with
and
it.
you would never expect him to be that smart of a guy. Like, he doesn't look like that. He
Mhm.
is. And now he's just living his life. Gets to go fishing in Hawaii whenever he wants.
Yeah,
go
now he has so
skiing
much
in Vail.
freedom.
Yeah, goes to do whatever he wants, man.
But okay, like there's guys like that, but there's like a million other stories where people are still grinding and they never become successful. Like it
like
never
probably
happens to 'em.
probably guys he was working with back in the Philippines or back in the early 2000s. He's where he's at, but those guys are still working for a business. Like, they're still working for Berry Petroleum or whoever they're working for, and he's got his own thing now.
So let me ask you this: so those guys, so 'cause what you just described, that's a great story. It's a hell of a. It's something that you show your kid, like, hey, aspire to be this one day. If you really work hard, you're gonna get paid off. But no one tells the million other tragedies that have occurred with the same people doing the same thing and not finding the same result. So would it have been better for those people who sought out to do something, sacrificed so much like time in the moment for something later on, like for delayed gratification and never comes to fruition? Would it have been better for them just to say, let's get drunk? You know, I'm just going to be a construction guy. I don't really care. I don't want to try.
Because when you're young, you're motivated. It's like when you hit about 35 and you're still like nowhere where you wanted to be, then you're kind of like, all right, let's get drunk. Let's just.
You're kind of giving up. You're throwing up your hands, waving the white flag.
Yeah, but like my uncle, for example, he continuously saw himself moving up, working hard, and he just made all the right moves and always stuck. Like, he's the best example I could think of a guy who started from nothing and has everything now.
Okay.
That I personally know.
So obviously we're defining it. Obviously you got to work your ass off, but then you have to be smart enough to find a plan and then execute that plan.
And you have to be disciplined.
Disciplined,
like you have to. It's all about discipline and remembering why you started this. You could be 20 years into your journey now and still not where you want to be, but stay disciplined and realize if you just keep working at it, it'll come to fruition.
So what's weird about this is like, that sounds virtuous to me. Someone who like is disciplined, sticks to a plan, executes it, and never sways away from his path that he wants to take for himself, the one less traveled. But when does that turn into greed? When does that turn into rapaciousness, where it's like now it's affecting others by this one path that you have your eyes set on? Like, it's not the end goal. It's just it's something that allow you to have freedom. But then when does the point happen where this is now affecting you for the wrong? Like it's doing bad to you.
You're like, what? Like, you're not being around your family as much as you should be.
Just like, yeah, because like we can say, you know, being overly greedy, like Gordon Gekko, right? Like, that's evil, right? That's a man who lost his real way of being and like actually being a productive human. Like, now he's just trying to destruct. He's destructive. He wants power. Like, that easily, it's like a change of the hand. Like, you don't even notice it, but it happens almost every time when someone is constantly chasing a dream, and then when that dream actually happens, you think you're invincible. You think you can conquer the world now. So like, is that where like discipline, working hard, sacrificing, that turns into greed? And
I think a big thing with it, and this is another example of my uncle. You gotta be faithful. Like, he's never missed a mass on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, guys,
so you gotta stay
super
grounded.
Catholic, stay grounded. Yeah, because when you get away from that, then it's all the vices start coming in. It just starts snowballing.
Because this is like, I want to dive into this because like I feel like there's so many people that have done wrong to the world. But I think the intention of when they started was originally, it was for a good meaning. It was for a purpose. Like, they want, like anybody who gets into politics, like they want to think about like, I want to do good for the people. I want to pass good legislation. I want to make a difference in my community. I want to make a difference for my country. But then that slowly like you get into it with a good intent, and then that just erodes. It erodes into something that's not good no more. Like now you're looking for your own self-interest.
Because
Like, hey,
they're
I can
in
make money on
politics.
this way. I can get bought
yeah,
out.
because they're in politics, and when you're
But
in
it's like
politics,
anything.
you're probably making. Yeah, no, politics isn't like anything.
No, but I'm just saying, like when you have a
When you're
dream and you set out to get that dream, it's with good intent. I like it's almost like most.
You know
of the
who's
time,
a perfect example of that? When you start bringing up politics and somebody has a dream. You know that one guy, Madison Cawthorn. He's the guy like in the wheelchair, young guy, like, and he made it in
yeah,
Congress.
he's the conservative guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but now he's not in Congress anymore. But he was for like 2 years or something. But he didn't get voted back in, I think. But like, he's a perfect example. Like, always on his Instagram, calling for things against like the left, bad things they're doing, and all this stuff, and having a real goal in mind. But he was only in office or in Congress or whatever for 2 years, like in his district.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a very big role in politics, but he has a pretty big following on Instagram. But a guy like that, like who's young, has ambition, wants to do better for the world, for his district, for his community, he gets revoted in 2-3 times. Lobbyists start coming up to him with envelopes of money.
Yeah, you have
do
influence.
do this here. Yeah, here's this envelope of money. We want this to happen. He starts taking those envelopes.
But
of
then,
money
like
slowly, and it starts every decision you're making is for an envelope of money.
because then you start to justify why you're accepting it because it's like I can't get to my dream
Because he's
unless I take
probably
the
only
money.
making $40,000 a year doing that, doing what he's doing in politics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he could take this envelope with $6,000-$7,000 in it to do something very minimal, just to bring something up in a meeting. It's like, dude,
Yeah,
you
so
just
there's-
start snowballing.
So like
Then you start moving up in the
it
world,
starts a snowpile.
like Skull and Bone Society.
No, but like no, but seriously though, it's like an external factor for someone who's doing good, someone who's like achieving their dreams. There's external factors coming in because they're starting to notice like, oh wow, this guy's doing really well. Let me piggyback on this and let me take advantage of this guy.
That is
let me
literally
benefit from him.
Well, that's kind of like what
It's
I'm
like vultures.
getting at. Yeah,
like a
but
bunch of fucking vultures.
that's like Skull and Bone Society. Like, when I'm listening to this shit, it's how you're saying vultures. They're seeing these people do good, but basically, like, what it is it's, you know what Skull and Bone Society is. It's like a fraternity type deal.
George Bush.
Yeah, like you get kids in when they're in college at level age, and these older people who like recruit for the Skull and Bone Society recruit these kids that are
Up and comers, like
that. Yeah, up
have
and
a lot
comers
of
that could
potential.
possibly have potential to be in places of power, huge places in Congress in the future, because they want to set their hooks in now, get their control now when you're 18 years old, because when these people who are 50, 60 years old, in 30 years they're going to be 80, 90 years old. This person who's 18 is going to be in their prime 40, 50 years old age. That's their prime politics age.
you want to corrupt him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how, that's like, it gets deep, man.
But you know what it is?
It gets really deep.
I'm gonna bring back Star Wars because it sounds exactly like this. Like Emperor Palpatine notices that Anakin Skywalker is the promised, the chosen one. Like he's the guy who's going to be the best Jedi ever, and he knows that like, all right, I'm gonna watch this guy grow up, and I'm gonna slowly manipulate him into trusting me instead of Yoda, instead of the Force,
Instead of Obi-Wan.
I'm gonna have I'm gonna be an external factor, and I'm gonna alter him, and then eventually he's gonna, instead of serving the Force, he's gonna serve me because I'm the one that showed him the Force is what steered him wrong. So you're manipulating that, and you turn a once good person, a good Jedi with so much potential, and then you turn him into the most evil guy ever. You turn him into Darth Vader, and it happens like on a quick of a dime.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I think it's so cool. Hey, Peter, can you go to the other room, Peter? Hey, Peter, can you go to the other room, dude? Go to the other room. God damn it, dude. Yeah, just talk in the middle of it.
Dude, they can't hear it.
I know, but still, just no fucking respect. I know, yeah, but just talk over it. Okay, dude. But I think Yoda. I think about Yoda, and I think he has the most force. Like he's mastered the Jedi mind. But he's the smallest dude in the universe. Like you would expect Yoda to be some general, but really he's just like this small little green creature. But his effect, that goodness, it doesn't matter what shape or size you are. It can come from anybody.
Like Napoleon.
Like it can come from yeah.
Like how your thoughts on Napoleon, you're thinking he's this big badass guy, but he's this little guy weirdo.
But he ended up being bad. Like he wasn't a good guy. Like he wasn't
Yeah.
Yoda. He didn't internalize the Yoda mindset.
Who, Napoleon?
Yeah,
or
Napoleon.
Anakin?
Like he steered the evil.
No, I know, but I'm
He
just
steered to
getting
like
at how
greediness, rapaciousness. He's taking over lands.
I brought that up because how you were saying people think, like when you think of a guy like Yoda, who's like the general, you think of a big guy, like a general, imposing guy.
It's even like the Jesus thing. Like when the prophecy of like Jesus is coming to save the Jews. He's going to come and save Israel. And they thought he was going to be like David. Like they thought he was going to be like some general, and really he wasn't. He was actually the exact opposite. Like he allowed people to punch him. He allowed people to take advantage of him. He allowed to let people in like Judah to come in and Judas, yeah. He allowed these people to come into his life. Like he didn't turn them away. He didn't kill them with sword or with might. He allowed them to come in. He allowed them to be corrupted. And I mean, that's like you would expect someone like that to just kill the bad and evil people, but they allow them to live. They allow them to learn from it. And I think Yoda's kind of like the same way. Like maybe Yoda doesn't do anything because he knows he can't control them. He can't control the situation. Maybe he knows Anakin's going to be bad, and he knows he can't do anything to stop Anakin because his like willpower is so strong that even Yoda couldn't stop him, right? Because evil can penetrate through anything. And I don't know. It's interesting thinking about like how someone with good intent slowly turned into someone who seeks evil onto the world. And I think that happens every single day. There's a countless numbers of stories where someone with good intention turns bad by justifying his means to get to his end, which he thinks is good.
Politics is the best example.
Politics is the best example because you're trying to make better of the world.
Because it's 99% of them in that.
Well, dude, I mean, power,
sector.
Absolute power is absolute corruption, right? Like it's a game that you're playing that no matter how you play the game, you will be corrupted. It does not matter how you do. It doesn't matter how you strategize towards it, right? You're going to get something, and it's not going to be in a just manner if you want to move up in politics. So you're playing in the cesspool.
Have you read the book The Prince by Machiavelli?
No, but
It's like kind of about that, or sort of about that. It's basically
the ends justify the means.
Yeah, like you can, wherever you want to get, you can do any immoral thing to get to your end.
Mm-hmm.
Do like kill people. Or do any type of immoral thing. Nothing has to be moral about it to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like the book everybody, like in the mafia, when they go to prison, that's like the first book they all read.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like all those.
Yeah, but I think Machiavelli wrote that book like over 500 years ago or something like
500
that.
years ago, yeah.
Yeah, something crazy like that. So
I mean, you still get wisdom from the Bible.
It's a different, no, I know, but it's a different world 500 years ago. Like, you can't just kill somebody now to get where you want.
No,
like, back then, yeah, you could kill somebody to
yeah,
get
but
what
maybe
you
like
want.
you may not be able to like kill somebody on the street, but maybe you can like blackball them on social media and totally just get them banned
The
because
world's
they're saying
just a
something
lot
against you.
The world's a lot smaller of a place now than it was back
No,
then.
but I think the same issues are different, but they're disguised differently now. Like, it's not so like, okay, I'm killing someone. It's more like, I'm just going to ban you, and I'm not going to allow you to get your voice out there at all. I think that's how it works now. Like, suppressing your voice is the only way to kill
like
somebody
being
off
shadow
now.
banned on YouTube.
Yeah, like, you're not just going to go up and, like, it's not like the 1800s where presidents are doing, like, shoot-offs with each other where they walk 3 paces and turn around and shoot each other. That's how Hamilton died.
I would do that right now.
That's how Hamilton died.
I'll do that right now.
Yeah, that play Hamilton, that's how the dude dies.
But if only way I'd do that is if I ended up being the one who lived, I want $100,000.
Oh, if you were going to do that?
I will do a 10-pace walk, turn, and shoot. Winner gets $100,000.
Well, I mean, I would be the dude who does the 10 paces and then turns around on the 3rd pace and just shoots you.
No,
right in the back.
I would do the 10 paces, but I'm doing something like right when I turn, like you're walking with it, and then right when I turn, I'm like falling to the side.
Yeah, like you can't just stand your ground.
No, I'm not just turning and going.
Yeah,
I'm like turning and diving.
God, like Star Wars, like Han Solo.
Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah.
Like
Like diving under something.
But it's like you can't be bored either. You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing. Like it's like, God, this is why the world's so complicated because you can do the same like decision, But like based off the circumstances, it can either be good or evil. Like there's not just like one situation where you commit the same act every time, and every time you commit that act, it's a good thing. It's like it's all situational. It's all different, and I don't know. It's definitely interesting, but like you have to keep a moral compass, right? You have to always keep the force. You always have to know what's good, right? You cannot be corrupted by outside external factors dictating what you need to do to get to what your end is, right? I think that's manipulation at its finest. So you got to stay consistent with that. But here's the other thing though. In most movies, why are good people, like why is always the good person so naive or credulous? Like why are they so easy to believe things, and why are they so like naive enough to accept what they're saying?
Well, like that's just the way movies have been for like back into the time of the Greeks when they were doing plays. Like there was always a naive good person and then like an evil person, all-knowing type deal. And I don't know, I think it's just because it's entertaining. They did it because it's probably just the most entertaining way to make a story. Because think about it, almost every story and movie for all the time is like that.
Yeah, but like, why can't you have like a skeptical good person? Like, why can't you
It's not entertaining.
You're trying to be virtuous, but then also you're not. You're maybe a little more cynical towards people. It's because that's not a virtue. It's being cynical. So like you almost have to be like, think about like being like Jesus, like letting people in even though they're evil. That is so frustrating to like be a good person and then understand like they may be a good person, they may be a bad person, but I'm going to let them in anyways, and I'm going to treat them the same way as I treat anybody else. Like I think that's the way evil permeates, because like you have to play these games. You have to either play the good side or you have to be the evil side, and that evil side is always going to get in because the good side always allows the evil to come in because they're always open. It's
human nature.
Yeah. So
it comes back to human nature.
I mean, that's why I think the world's going to always end terribly, right? It's not going to be a storybook ending. It's always going to end in something tragic. Like it's going to be tragic.
You think it's going to be like nuclear holocaust?
No, I think that people are just going to be subjugated to one rule, and I think
like what, a new like freedom. Globalist type deal?
I think the second like your buying power as a consumer goes away and you really don't dictate the economy as much as you did, I think eventually they're just going to come in. They're just going to force you to work.
Who's they? The globalists?
I think just whoever takes power, right? I think the second.
But who do you think? Who do you think can take? If this were to happen in the next 15 years, who's they?
I don't know if it's going to happen in the next 15 years.
I'm just putting.
I'm saying at the end of time, I think it's eventually going to lead. It's not going to be a storybook ending.
So you think it's going to be like a one world order, and then what?
I think a one world order would probably be the best solution or the best outcome
but
to where
for
we're
when the world ends, like what are you getting at? How do you think the world would end?
I don't think the world ends unless it's like a natural disaster, unless like Yosemite erupts.
That's
or
what I'm getting. No, you mean like Yellowstone?
Yeah, Yellowstone. I'm sorry.
It would cover like 2/3 of the world in
like
ash.
Something happens.
Wait,
like,
were we talking about that on the last episode?
Mm-mm.
Who was I talking about that with? If Yellowstone? Oh, I was talking about it with John Paul, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is actually kind of interesting. So if Yellowstone erupts, it's like one of the biggest supervolcanoes. It will cover 2/3 of the world in ash, probably even more than that. So imagine this. If a country like the size of, put India and China, the landmass of India and China together.
The continent of Asia.
Not even the whole continent of Asia, not all Russia. Just think of China and India together, that type of landmass. That's the only habitable place on Earth right now.
Mm-hmm.
We probably are gonna die.
Yeah, we're gonna die. We're
pretty close. Yeah, but you know that there's people like in Washington who are gonna make it out. Like there's gonna be Americans who make it out. What we were getting at is, so if that's like the only habitable place in land, because we'll still have submarines in the ocean to launch nukes. Like, do you think like the American government or the leaders of America will be like, we want this part of land for our citizens to come live here? Okay. And if not, we're not going to offer you anything. But if not, we're just going to blow you up.
I think I don't think if you lose all your geographical power, you lose all
But we
pretty
still
much
have
your entire
nukes in the submarine.
No,
we still
but
have
I
submarines
think-
all over throughout the oceans.
I think if our leaders were the only ones kind of standing, and we had like a couple thousand people still living in America, still like Americans still alive, I think
No, there would probably be a couple million Americans.
okay,
still
maybe
alive.
let's say 3 million Americans are still alive after
I'd say
Yellowstone
even more
erupts.
than that.
Everyone gets away. Let's just say 5 million people.
Because it's not like you're dying. Like
No,
people
but it's gonna
aren't
be a
dying.
dust cloud.
Yeah,
Whoever can like get to shelter
there's
and have enough food.
Yeah, there'll be probably more than you think. It'll probably kill off. There'll probably how many people are in America? 300 million.
350 million people.
I bet you there's over 10 million.
Okay, let's
people
just say 10 million.
easily.
I think if our American leadership came and you said India and China were the only like habitable places
Imagine
after
that.
the
Yeah,
planet's
like that type of.
I
landmass
think they would
size.
get into bed and try and make a peace agreement, like an accord.
Yeah.
That would not allow
Give us this
them
chunk
to
of
kill
land.
us off. So I think we would just be taken over. I think we would just.
But
let
think
them
of
take us
this.
over.
Well, America's not habitable. Canada, 2/3 of the world is
Yeah, we're gonna have to,
uninhabitable.
everyone has to go
All
to Asia.
of Europe, yeah. So America's making the first deal. We have the most nukes still, usable nukes in the water.
Yeah, because we could be like,
And
we can just.
We're
end the
gonna
game.
die anyways if we're not gonna get out of there. So it's literally, I'm thinking they're literally saying, you give us this chunk of land
Mhm.
cut out as new America for the next however many years until this is over.
Yeah.
And then maybe you tell them when this all clears up, we'll give you something back in return in a couple of years when this clears up. Or if not, we're just going to blow you up. We're just going to blow it all up and fuck it. Everybody's going to die.
I think, the ecosystem's going to be like just drastically different for the next couple thousand years. So I don't think it's going to clear up easy.
What do you think the only
I think
animals
we're
that
gonna have
survive?
to. We're gonna have to be like subjected to their rule. Like I think because they can kill us off. We like. What are we really gonna do? Like we're gonna end the planet? Is that the only hand we're playing here? Is like you have to give us what we want, or we're gonna.
You're
kill
going to die
everybody?
anyways. They're going to die anyways.
I think we just get into bed with them because I think they would rather live with.
That's what I'm saying. We
No,
get into bed with them. They give
I
us a
think we
chunk
would.
of land.
I think our people making that decision would rather live amongst their leadership than just have them than our leaders to live with their people. Like I think they would rather get in bed with them than for them just to be amongst the people. Like they're closer together. They're closely related.
but you
than
still have
we are
10 million
from our
Americans that you
leadership.
have to think about. Like,
No, I know. I don't think. I think like whatever like the leaders were in China or India, whoever takes over that.
if you're the
control.
leader, what are you doing? If you're
I'm trying
the
to
guy
not-
calling shots at America
I'm
right
trying to
now,
have
that's
the
still
least
alive.
amount of tragedy. I'm having the
This
least
is
amount
what
of
I'm
casualty.
doing. This is what I'm doing. I'm saying, give us Beijing or a big city like Beijing where we can house 10 million people.
Mm-hmm.
Give us one of these big cities, Beijing or anything like it, one of those big Asian cities.
Yeah.
And if not, we're just gonna blow it up, and then you guys can figure it out.
Okay, so maybe I'm the leader at China, and I'm just like, all right, fine. I'm calling your bluff.
Then I start sending every nuke I have in the air.
So everyone's dead.
Yeah.
So it's a zero.
Well, we're
sum
already
game.
dead anyways. We're already dead anyways.
It's a zero-sum game.
Dude, you got to think
Yeah,
of
but
this. When
then-
you're back that far, you
No,
can't
but
even
then-
imagine this.
But then you even get to the point though where it's just like you don't even like identify as an American anymore. We're all just trying to keep the human race survival. Like we're trying to keep the human race to survive.
Well, there's plenty of
So if
people
you're
that are
going to be
still
the
going
guy
to be
who's
alive.
going to give that order,
Joseph,
to kill
there's
the human
still
race,
over 1 billion people that are still surviving in India and China. There's billions of people still alive. Like, it is not most of the human
so no one
race.
from that population died.
No, there's still that's not even touched.
They didn't
That
even get
part of the-
touched. But
no.
all of Europe's gone.
Europe's gone.
Africa's
America's
gone.
gone.
Middle
Africa's
East is gone.
Everything. It's just the size of
So by the grace
India.
of God, no one gets touched in India or China.
Yeah, it's basically like that's the only part of the world that's not around. I'm just using that as an example. It could I don't know how far I'm just using that as an example
Hypothetical.
right now. But a part of the world, but could be just all of Europe is still alive. It doesn't fucking matter. It's just I'm using that as an example. We can't even really fathom it because we have never seen something even close to that crazy.
Yeah, like a mass extinction.
It's literally a mass, dude. Hundreds, billions of people are just wiped off the earth in a second, or not a second, but over probably a couple weeks, a couple billion people are dead.
Mm-hmm.
It is a whole different. Like at that point, you are just trying to survive for yourself, probably.
Yeah, you're not even thinking about country.
You're really not even thinking about the American people. Like at that point,
And I think those 10 million people that survive, they probably start killing each other for resources. So I don't even think they would have to do anything. We would just start killing each other.
that's kind of like that movie
I
that
know.
like, because remember
the
at the
world
end of the
behind.
movie, he's saying, like, talking about the most cost benefit way to take over a country. And he's saying, like, first cause a blackout or whatever, and nobody knows. Then people start fighting against each other because nobody knows who their real enemy is.
Mhm.
And, like, that's the most cost-effective way to take over. And then a coup happens.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
That's
what would
what would
happen,
happen.
because but people would know what would happen. Like, people will realize, okay, Yellowstone just erupted. Like, we'll understand something. A huge volcano erupted, and I don't know. Well, yeah, people would probably start fighting each other for resources and
Yeah,
water
because,
and shit.
Like the only way you can think about philosophy and science and what's the
but you
got
got to think of this.
Like, what's the moral objective truth is if you have everything around you already provided, like shelters there.
See, but we can't even fathom how bad is the ash
Anarchy.
cloud. You're not even able to go outside. It's so bad. Like, you can't even see 5. Okay, so it's that bad. So you're not able
You're
to
in
travel.
a bunker. Everyone who survives in a bunker,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then once you resurface out of the bunker, maybe after like 20 years, you don't even know who's around anymore.
Nah, I bet you it would probably take no more than it'd probably take a couple years for it to clear out.
Okay, couple years, they come out of the bunker. They don't even know who's alive anymore. So then you're just thinking about yourself, like your tribe. It becomes tribalism again. Then it's like we're not even a country anymore. Like now we're just fighting for resources. And then once we get our shelter back,
You got to realize how
food at
many
our
people are
disposal.
still alive, how many people are still around, and all that. Because think of 10, 12,000 years ago, mass extinction could have happened, and there's only however many thousands or millions of people still alive after that, and they basically have to think of that. Everything is done, but then you have all these barren cities that have not been running for 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, everything's desolate.
Dude, it's crazy to think about. Like, it's too much to think about.
But it's
It
interesting,
really
though.
is too much to think about now that I'm starting to really think about it.
Because moral
I don't
objective
even wanna
truth
think
goes
about
away.
it.
It all goes away. No one, like principles and, you know what it turns into? Machiavellianism. Like, it turns into, like, I need to live, so I'm going to kill you. I'm sorry. Like, I
But
have
dude,
to
it's
live.
deeper than that. Like, it gets so much deeper than that too, because then it's like it's another how many thousand years until we're back to where we are right now.
Yeah, no, it takes forever to get back to it. You lost all the technology. You don't even know where the resources are. You can't trade with anybody. You're just trying to, like, keep
There's
your
no
own area.
travel. You have to build, dude.
It's tribalism. You become a tribe again. There'll be a tribe, and we'll
But
become
the
the new
thing
Native
about
Americans.
it is, though, the different thing about it is, though, is that if people say like everybody in Bakersfield, for example, lived like in California, basically everybody in Bakersfield's like 10% of the people who lived in America that made it out of this. We all knowing what we all know from and we got out, say it's 10 years later and everybody emerges, all the ash cloud's gone. Knowing what we know from our lives past, like before all the what happened, it would be, because I'm thinking of when a mass extinction could happen 10,000 years ago, and then you have, like, we're not going back to using stone tools and shit like
I bet we
that.
would.
No, I don't think so, because we know we don't need to use stone tools.
Yeah, but how do you make the tools?
Dude, it's not
Where's the
hard.
materials to make the tools?
Look at people down in, like, Brazil. Like,
No,
those
I'm talking
crazy
about
Amazonian.
suburban families that are going to have enough money to have bunkers that get out of this situation.
Oh, they don't know how to
know
do
how to do
shit.
anything.
Yeah.
They're screwed. That's the people that
They
are
don't
going to
even
survive
know how to make
this.
a fucking fire.
The people without money will die. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of the situation. And so if you don't have a society, can you even be ethical with no society? Like, I feel like morality and, like, what's a good thing to do, what's justifiable.
Whoever's got the most guns.
It's only possible if you live in a civil society where that can take place. Because then without a society, it's just all anarchy and just what's best for you. Become a sadist.
Well, I'll tell you what. A fucking paper dollar with some old white guy's face on it won't mean
It won't
shit
mean anything, but
when that happens.
You have to go to, like, some, like, substitute resource, like maybe
fucking,
copper.
Gold will
metal.
not mean shit. I don't even think copper will mean shit.
So it just goes to, like, barter trading again. Like, I'll give you 2 cows for
I have a
gallon
cow.
of water or something stupid.
Or like I just caught this bucket of fish.
Here's some seeds for crops to grow. Like,
dude,
that's all it is.
That's what it comes down to.
There's no medium for exchange anymore, so that's gone. So it becomes like a barter system again. Yeah, you start all over again. If we're climbing up the ladder of evolution and, like, evolving into
what
some
are you
transient
taking?
being,
What are you?
fall down the stairs.
What business or what? how are you gonna get to the top of society if society's like that? Like, what are you gonna become a fish? I'm going.
You don't. It's all tribal. It's a hunter and gathering again.
Well, but to barter and get whatever you want, I'm probably going and taking a crew like to the woods and just chopping forests down and getting as much wood as you can, because people are gonna need wood to build shelter, to build like plows, everything to farm
and then how do you
equipment.
even if it's a good trade? How can you even like compare it to some other trade? Like, there's no medium in between. So
it's just whatever you need. It's
so whatever you
think
think's good enough, that person be like,
it's whatever
I don't
you
know.
need at that time. If you need a cow at that time, but that person doesn't need, like, say all you have is logs of wood, and they don't really need logs of wood, they're gonna be like, okay, give me 100 logs of wood, I'll give you 1 cow. But then there's another person who really needs logs of wood. They're like, I'll give you a cow for 10 logs of wood.
Okay,
it's
so
just all comes to, you got to trade with the right people who need what you have.
So this is a great thought experiment, because okay, if we start from square one of building a civilization and building a society, how do you bind the contract? Like, how do you bind like a social agreement between all parties?
Yeah, because what stops you, if you've got a gun, because guns will still work in 10 years, what stops you from just shooting the guy who has the cow?
Yeah, I'm just going to take your resources. Like, yeah, there's no, like, it's not gentleman-like behavior.
That's when you have to just find almost like a militia, but like a group of people, like-minded people, where you all provide something to the group.
Don't laugh at me when I say this, but maybe you have to make your own god to bind like a social agreement by saying we have to behave in a way for us to keep developing, to keep evolving, because of this guy's watching us or something. Like some entity greater than us is watching us from the sky.
Like, that's how like natives all did it, and your Egyptians and everything.
Like, you're giving thanks, you're giving sacrifice. Like, that will come back really fast to sacrifice and shit, right? Because then the irrational thought seeps in.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to create your own god, and then because then you have to create your own morality, and then how do you keep people from like agreeing with this social
But the problem
contract?
is 10 years, there's going to be a lot of Christians who still live, like, paganism's kind of like, you got to think about it. 6, 7, 8,000 years ago, nobody even knew what God was. There were no prophets. There was no Moses.
But I bet they were praying to a god.
Yeah, like
the tree
different
god or something.
But I'm saying now we have our real God. Like,
yeah.
So I think people still kind of.
But this is like,
nobody's praying to a rain god.
But this is for atheists who think that like man can create his own morality. Maybe so. Maybe.
What's that atheist guy's name?
Who?
The guy I'm thinking of. The big guy. Not the big guy, but what's his name?
Dickinson?
No. Sam or something.
Oh, Sam. Gosh, the guy Jordan Peterson debates. Sam Smith? No, not.
No.
Not
What's the guy's name, dude?
You gotta look it up. No, but it's like, if society really crumbled and you had to start from square one and you had to establish
Sam Harris.
Yeah, and you had to establish social contracts again, and everyone, like, you probably can't even get to that point probably till like 1,000 years after.
Well, it's
Yellowstone
tough,
erupts.
dude. It's tough because
How do you get
put
people
it this
together?
way. It would.
How do you bring people together to make a society?
It's just tough when you have people who survive, and it's only been 10 years of an ash cloud, and you have people who survive who knew what the world was like 10 years ago. But say the ash cloud was for 80 years, and you're in a bunker for 80 years, and
so your offspring has no idea.
Yeah, but they're surviving down there, and all they know is being down in this bunker, and all the people from the old world have passed away. Then it comes to something like that.
Yeah, because then it's like,
you know nothing of what the old world was like. You don't even know what an iPhone was. You don't know shit. Then that's when it comes back to just pure human nature.
So is moral truth self-evident? Like, is it just natural for someone to come out of that and someone to get people to build a civilization to be like, you know what? Murder is really wrong. Like, I don't think you can justify murder. Like, that should be against the law. Like, you cannot kill someone. Like, everyone feels it intrinsically inside of you that killing someone's wrong. And if you don't feel like
not
that,
even
you're
just
a fucking
killing somebody,
psychopath.
not even just killing somebody, but even just doing somebody wrong, I feel like intrinsically people know you just did that person wrong. Like, you did wrong by
them. It's like a child knows that they're being devious. They know that they're messing around. They're breaking the rules.
Do atheists not believe that or something?
No, they believe that humans can make their own. Make our own moral truth. Like we make our own laws.
There's
no divine intervention
No.
coming and telling us what's a
Because,
moral
dude,
code to follow.
I think if that were to happen and ash cloud is for 100 years and it's 2 generations away now that are emerging now from these bunkers,
Mm-hmm.
I think even if a guy had a cow and you had nothing to give him, you just pushed him down. You didn't even have to kill him. Killing him, yeah, it's pretty obvious, but you just push him down and take his cow. If somebody was watching that, another third party, they'd realize you just did him wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you offered to give him this, you didn't, and instead you just took it from him.
Mm-hmm.
People will realize, like a third party realizes, even the person that you did wrong realizes you just did him wrong.
I think you can get really rudimentary and just be like, whatever you do that leads to a negative outcome is probably a bad thing. Like if you jump off a cliff, you're dead. That's a bad thing to do. You steal from somebody. That person is really upset that he got something stolen from him. That's a bad thing that just occurred. So I think it has to be something super like rudimentary and you build up, and then you get super like some complex legal system, some advanced society figures out how to like maneuver
takes
through
thousands
loopholes.
of years.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like you're in a tribal area, but what makes coming together so valuable, because we're social beings, we can't do everything. One person can't make everything. We need other people to have a skill so that we can trade with that person for our skill that we're doing. And so that's what creates a society, and that's what creates things to be like accessible. So like you have all the resources, you have all these tradesmiths, you have all these people working on different projects, so then we can trade.
Yeah, because you can't do everything.
Yeah, you can't do everything. There's not enough time. There's not enough like mind power to even do it. So it's like, but how do you agree to that? How do you like? Is it just everyone has to feel it's a beneficial thing for everyone, and everyone just has to come together? And then what binds that? What binds that social contract? What allows that to keep going and keep building?
I'll tell
up?
you what, right now, if you were on like mushrooms or something right now talking about this, you would be coming up with some crazy shit.
I'm just saying, like, it's so funny that we got down to like, if everything started from square one, you would then have to find structure, and you need God, or you need something to bind these like laws together to keep everyone from not killing each other. Like, because anarchy is the worst thing. It's the worst outcome is anarchy. So you need to find an order, but then you need that order to have some nuanced thought, so it's not too stringent enough to where you can't think of a problem that hasn't already been solved. So you have to be able to find new solutions, but you need that order to keep people from killing each other, to keep the anarchy from ensuing and running with like wildfire. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought. And with that, I'm excited. It's the holiday season. Merry Christmas to everyone who's listening to this right now.
Dude, you know what I love when somebody says happy holidays to me? I just go Merry Christmas, dude.
I've been saying happy holiday. It's just
I don't, dude.
I've been no, but
people
I'll
have
say
said
happy
it to
holiday.
me. Like specifically somebody up at the club said it to me, like, and I think it's somebody who probably isn't a Christian or something,
Yeah.
and I just go Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
like when somebody says happy holidays, I just immediately think like they're probably an atheist.
well, you're trying to be religiously tolerant.
Yeah.
You're just like, you're not assuming that most people are Christians, or
even if they're not, I don't give a shit. Merry Christmas.
you know, like if like Christmas wasn't a thing and it was just like Hanukkah and stuff around this time, no one would be saying happy. Like,
You don't say Happy Hanukkah,
No
yeah.
one says Happy Hanukkah. It's
Unless to a Jew, you might like.
It's
if
Merry
you know, I don't
Christmas.
even know what Hanukkah is. But like I know
I think
a couple
Hanukkah's
Jews.
on the 18th. I think it already started.
I know a couple of Jews, and like if I actually knew, like if it was like Yom, I don't actually wouldn't. But
Yom
like
Kippur.
like when it's it's kind of hard because even like when it's like that Eid Mubarak or whatever it's called for the Muslims, like you don't say Happy Eid to a Muslim.
Yeah,
it's only Merry fucking Christmas.
Okay, well, it's domestically marketed as Merry Christmas because this is a Christian nation, guys.
Yeah.
This is a Christian nation, or it was supposed to be a Christian nation. That's why we say Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays, because our founders were
Merry
under Christian
Xmas.
thought.
I fucking hate a Merry.
You know what? And like, it makes me mad because I do say Happy Holidays to people. Then I'm thinking like, I'm a part of the problem. Now I'm the issue. Like,
I will never say Happy Holidays, dude.
Well, Merry Christmas.
It's not even in my vocabulary, to be honest.
Like, I think.
Dallas is a Happy Holidays kind of guy.
Like, you can't. Okay, if you don't have a civilization, you can't have Christmas. There's no tradition. You can't like. Just like you can't go to some tribe and be like, "Hey, we're gonna celebrate this holiday that we find really cool."
Did you see? You probably didn't see these videos of this. These two, because Alabama played at Auburn this year, right?
Yeah.
It was these two Alabama kids who went to Alabama and they were going to the game, and like there were these three young Auburn kids, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old,
Mm-hmm.
like on top of like a thing dancing, like singing like the Auburn song to Alabama kids who like were college kids, and they're just going, Santa's not real. Your parents lied to you. Santa's not real. And the kids are just like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
You know, what a real... Talk about a guy who hijacked a holiday is Santa Claus. It's not, like, how do you come up with this fictitious character that just replaced Jesus? Like, it's such a secular thing to do, to, like, replace the person we're actually celebrating Christmas for and then put this
what I hate?
fictitious guy as the center.
I hate how... like there's some type of people, like if you don't go to mass on like Easter or mass on Christmas Day, like they make you feel like you should only go to mass on Easter or Christmas Day.
Who makes you feel like that?
Dude, I don't know. There's just people like that. Like
what do you mean? Like you only go on those holidays? You don't go on Sundays?
Yeah, but it's fuck, those kind of people piss me off because I don't want to go to fucking mass on Christmas Day or Easter because that's the most amateur day of the year. That's when every rookie goes to mass.
Yeah.
And it's the most crowded shit in the world.
It's like if you're going to be a baseball fan.
In the 10 Commandments, it literally just says, keep holy the Lord's Day. Just go to mass on Sundays. Like, Christmas doesn't even fucking land on a Sunday this year. Why the fuck do I have to go to mass on Christmas?
Well, because you're celebrating Christ's birth.
Yeah, but dude,
it's all symbolic. Like Christ's birthday was in spring. He was born in the springtime.
Yeah, like
it wasn't
dude,
even Christmas.
They were like Jews and Christians 2,000 years ago were like the Sabbath day. You're not doing shit on Sunday. You're keeping holy Lord's Day.
And plus, like
on December 25th in the year 45, I can promise you, people weren't thinking of fucking Christmas.
I don't know when. Dallas, can you look up when they changed the Christmas holiday to the 25th, or whenever that tradition even started, and when they changed it to the 25th?
I'll just look up when Christmas was made.
No.
In 336, Christmas started in Rome, but it did not become a major festival until the 9th century.
It's okay, the 800s.
The Emperor Constantine established December 25th as the date when Christians celebrated Christ's birthday.
Constantine did that?
Yeah.
336? Wow, that's amazing. But the way it's been... Okay, so I guess the 25th has always been that. Okay, great. Awesome. But, like, what we're celebrating or what the traditions are of this holiday is
it's because of an emperor.
Sabotage from Christ's actual birth.
Yeah.
Like, we give each other presents. It's all consumerism. It's all, like... I think why they make the holiday such a big deal is because, like, these big toy companies...
So much people make money.
Like, they make so much money on the last quarter of the year... because all the holidays are on the back end and everyone's buying shit. Everyone's buying costumes for Halloween.
It
They're
gets
buying
too
food
deep.
for
This shit
Thanksgiving.
gets way too deep. We're already so far in this. We can't even keep diving deep into this.
But it's like...
It's true. They advertise Christmas as they push because they know that's their most money time of the year.
It's gluttony.
Not even just toys.
It's gluttony and lustfulness. It's like it's committing a deadly sin.
And think of when you're a kid... You're not even thinking of it's Jesus' birthday. You're thinking of, I can't wait to go open my presents.
Or you think of Santa Claus. Or you look at like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
You can't wait to open your presents. You're thinking, what am I going to get for Christmas this year?
Yeah, yeah. Like, I would rather have it where people just, because like there's people that don't even believe in Christ that celebrate the holiday. So it's like, let's quit pretending this is Christ's holiday. Like, let's unlift the veil and be like, Christmas is not really, we're not here to celebrate Christ anymore. We're just here to we're here to celebrate consumerism in our country. Yeah. And like us coming together at the end of the year and celebrating for another year. Like, Happy New Year. Like, it's all together. Like, and you move forward. It's not even Christ's, like, I don't know. It's definitely been corrupt. And I agree. I bet the intention of like, we're going to celebrate Christ's birthday. And then as time evolves, time keeps going, it slowly gets corrupted and it turns focus away from Christ.
You know what I would love to know is I would love to know what Tim Gordon thinks about
he probably would agree with everything.
I think he would.
Because here's the other thing.
But then there's also other people who would start saying this is fucking blasphemous.
Okay, and whoever would say that, I am free to have a conversation about it. But then also, you know what's funny? Okay, thanks for bringing up Tim Gordon. Christmas doesn't even end on the 25th, by the way, people. It ends on like January 10th. Like the Christmas season goes into January.
We're in Advent right now.
Yeah, the Christmas season goes to January. Like it doesn't stop on the 25th. Like you're not supposed to take the lights down and the nativity scenes down. It goes till the 10th.
No, I think it's before that.
It might be January 9th or 8th. but it's
Might be the 8th or the 6th.
it's like a couple weeks after Christmas is when the actual season ends.
January 5th.
January
yeah,
5th.
I thought it was the 6th.
So it's an additional week and a half of you should be celebrating Christmas still. Or you're celebrating Christ, or you're recognizing Christ is born and Christ is
This is what it says. Christmas is celebrated by an increasing number of non-Christians around the world.
Yeah, it's secularism.
In Western Christianity, the Christmas season is traditionally synonymous with Christmastide, which runs from the 25th to January 5th.
Yeah.
Popularly known as the 12 Days of Christmas.
It's, yeah. And so, you know what? Okay. All right.
But then this one says the 12 Days of Christmas is the 26th to the 6th, the traditional date of the Epiphany. People don't even, I don't know. That first one's from Wikipedia. This one's from CatholicKids.com. I would trust that one more.
I think the Catholic world, the Christian world, needs to have another ecumenical council. Because I don't think, we can't even define what we are anymore. You can't even define what a Catholic is.
When was the last one, in the 70s?
I don't know. I think 1960? Or I don't know what. Yeah.
Was it the one when they?
Council?
Was it the one when they changed the mass?
Yeah, that was when they changed the mass from Latin and like the altar, the priest is facing the laity instead of the altar. And I think that's when watered down Christianity began.
No, that was something different.
No, when was the ecumenical council?
It was in the 62 to 65. The Second Vatican.
Oh, the Second Vatican Council. No, but the ecumenical council.
That was like in the 700s.
That was the last time they did it?
Yeah.
The last ecumenical council.
Yeah, that's what.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
It's like all
I remember learning
non-denominated,
about them. Yeah, I remember learning about
Christian
them.
Orthodox all come together and they figure out what's our unifying message. Because the
last
the church is
ecumenical
scattered.
council to be accepted by both Eastern and Western churches was in 787.
That's crazy. So I think maybe we need to get back on that.
I don't know why.
No, because
think of it. There's been how many years since 787?
1,300
1600.
years.
Yeah, whatever. And we in those 1,300 years, the two churches have grown so far apart, but they are still very similar in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But we've grown so far apart in a lot of different ways also that there's no point of meeting together. That's why they had the Vatican Council.
But you need a
60s.
unifying message. Because
they can have their own, like we can have our own.
Let me think about this. Okay, so I think it's the first branching off, right? Think about the 300 years where the church couldn't have like public masses, and so you can't really write anything down because it's all under a tunnel system. It's like you're hiding your belief. So I think the first thought is like
it's like the prohibition,
like
it's like speakeasy.
No, think about this. Like okay, so there's different versions. So the first version is Nestorian, who believed like Christ had two different forms, and then the other version is I think it's it's something Orthodox. It's something Orthodox. It's different from Eastern Orthodox. It's Occidental Orthodox, and then it goes to Eastern Orthodox, and it goes to the Roman Catholic Church, and then from the Roman Catholic Church, in the 1595 of the Reformation, then you have 8 different non-denominational Western churches. So there's like 12 different churches under one God that believe a little different thing. And so if you don't have that unifying message, there's no uniformity. There's no like actual message being reached to everybody because everyone defers on a certain issue of the faith.
I think all those other ones that sprung off, like how you're saying all the different denominations are all bullshit because it's all those denominations start because of one normal person who just has enough influence and thinks differently, just like Calvinism, but comes to Protestant, but like how
like
Protestant is, they have different branches and they're like just like the Catholic Church, but it's overall the Roman Catholic Church is overall the most popular out of any.
But okay, so like let's just say the Western Church and the Eastern Church, Eastern Orthodox. Eastern Orthodox is more like they don't try to answer the questions unsolved. Like they believe in more of the mystic version of God. Like God's being is not findable. Where like the Western Church is more intellectual and like they try to solve problems of like morality and truth and like discovering God's will as self-evident. Like we try to answer questions. The Eastern Church kind of like leaves things be and let God be more mysterious. So we're not trying to like define who God is instead of just rather just kind of worship his embodiment of what his revelation was to us. So that's kind of like the two different ones. And there's like obviously there's no Pope in the Eastern Orthodox Church.
Yeah, but they've got something.
No, yeah, I think they do, but it's not the Pope. They don't answer to the Pope. But it started off. I think the schism started off when I think the Western Church added something to the Nicene Creed where he said and the Son, because I think the Eastern Church believes that God can be Jesus, but Jesus can't become the Holy Spirit.
This is what the leader of the Eastern Orthodox Church's name is. Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew.
Bartholomew, what a name!
But they call
What a
him.
cool
He's
name.
the Ecumenical Patriarch.
Because they think they're the real church. It's
For the
it's
Greek
disunity.
Orthodox Archdiocese of America. Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America.
But I think probably Luther. I bet Luther in 1595. He gave that 95 thesis, 95 points as to why the Roman Catholic Church is corrupted and irrecoverable. He probably has great points. Again, absolute power is absolute corruptness.
We've had
church,
tons.
the institution is corrupt.
Think of how many popes there's been over time that were just the biggest piece of shit.
Think about the Spanish Inquisitions, the Crusades. They were generals. They were commanding armies.
That was the Spanish Inquisition. That was like a genocide.
Yeah, or think about the missions here in California. We forced Native Americans to convert, or to live in the missions with us and be indoctrinized. But it's the same thing. All institutions become corrupt. They all become corrupt. At what point are you justified to leave those institutions? Because if the institution and the ideal idea of an institution and how it's supposed to be run, that's still there. People have an idea of how institutions are supposed to be ran, but now all these institutions are corrupt, and it's inevitable that they will become corrupt. At what point do you leave those institutions? Because if the institution started off with good intent, right? If it was founded under Peter, told by Jesus to build his church under his rock, and that church becomes super corrupt, but it started from Jesus telling Peter to start the church, at what point can you justify to leave that church and start your own church and be I know the truth that Jesus was teaching more than the church that was started by Jesus? It's the same thing with the U.S. government and certain institutions. At what point can you rationalize to yourself, okay, I'm better off if I just venture off and I don't trust these institutions. I'm going to leave. I don't trust it anymore. It's too fallible. They say so many incomplete things, so many wrong things, and it's not even in the interest of the people anymore. So it's always these questions that define how people react to outcomes. But
yeah,
at what point can you justify leaving an institution, or do you never leave the institution, but you believe in the idea of the institution?
It's hard to say because I've never been in that pickle. I've never been in that scenario where
Pope Francis, for example, says that I believe he said that hell isn't real, but he's the Pope. But the Pope's infallible according to the Catholic Church.
Okay, but I don't take. I think of the Pope as a person.
You don't need a central figure to tell you what to believe. But that same church is telling you what to believe on Sundays.
But he's not changing shit up. I
they
just
changed the
believe in
masses.
tradition. Yeah, in the
Vatican
70s.
Council,
Yeah,
in the
for the
60s.
better.
I don't think it was. Because
A lot of
it's
people
watered
do.
down Christianity. Think about any millennial Christian now. They're all it's just Jesus was a hippie and Jesus is so tolerant. Tolerant.
Difference in Catholics. I know a lot of
being
hardcore
tolerant isn't a
Catholics,
virtue?
dude.
Being a tolerant person, that's not a virtuous thing according to the church. So just allowing things to be okay if they're not hurting anybody.
Fuck, dude, I don't make it. I'm
not.
not a person who makes it such a fucking big deal in my life. It's just I just do what I think is right and fucking live.
Yeah, but it's but people can be. We're all sheep. If we're misguided wrongly, we're gonna go to something bad, something
I'm not gonna
unjustifiable, something
a guy
corrupt.
especially the Pope Francis, a guy who's a human who was born just like I was to really change my mind on fucking anything if I think it's totally wrong. But then there's a lot of people who are sheep who will just
everyone's
totally
a sheep.
be
I'm a sheep.
molded.
You're a sheep. Everyone's a sheep. We're gonna follow something.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Everyone's gonna follow something.
I'm not gonna follow a guy who I think is wrong in anything.
Yeah. No, but that's the difference. That's why most people I don't want to listen to a pope. I don't need a priest to tell me that I'm forgiven for my sins. Maybe I just want to have a relationship with God. But also if you believe in Jesus, and Jesus also told Peter to start the church, that you're calling fallible and I'm not going to follow this central command, it's kind of contradictory to like Jesus' teachings. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I wish we had Father Craig here on the show
Jesus
to talk about it
appointed
more.
Peter. He didn't appoint fucking Pope Francis. There's been popes before, like Pope
it's,
John Paul.
It's the lineage, though.
Was a great
you can connect
pope.
it to Peter. You can connect Peter to Pope
Yeah,
Francis.
I get that, but dude,
you know what I mean?
yeah, but it's it's in history. There's just been bad popes. I don't think Pope Francis is a great pope.
No, I mean you don't have to say that.
Yeah,
everything gets diluted.
I think there's been good popes. I don't think that I've had a good pope in my life.
But I'm saying, Pope John Paul.
He wasn't really in my life.
2005.
Yeah, but I don't remember. I wasn't even a fucking Catholic back then.
Okay, but is it ever right to leave those institutions if they become too corrupt? Is it ever right to leave it if it was started?
What do you mean by leave it?
Like, I'm going to be a Christian. I'm not going to be a Roman Catholic anymore. I'm going to be a Christian.
Just because the Catholic Church is too corrupt?
Because like I don't believe in the Pope. I don't believe that the church is leading us in the right direction, and I'm just going to be a Baptist, and I'm going to believe what I believe. I'm going to read the Bible my own. I'm going to interpret it my own.
It's hard to say because I would probably never do that. I don't care how bad it gets. Like fucking, there's popes that have covered up priests that are pedophiles and shit, and it's like, yeah, I hate that more than anything in the world, and I probably, if I ever saw a priest like that, I could probably kill him.
Yeah.
But it's not going to make me leave the church because in my heart, like, I know what is right.
You know what the perfect institution for the church can be.
Yeah, and just the people,
represent.
We get back to people being, it's human nature. Like, some people just are bad people, and some people just, absolute power corrupts. Like, how you get to it. Like, it all comes back to what we were talking about earlier, but
like
I would probably never. I'm just not the type of person who. There's just a different type of people. I'm not the type of person who gives so much of a shit to up and leave the church.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like hopefully it gets better.
But what do you?
I just kind of ignore it a little bit. I guess I just kind of ignore it.
Do you ever leave the church if like somehow Pope Francis said Jesus was human? He was 100% human, not God.
Probably not still, because there's going to be another pope in my life after him who could fucking just reverse what he said.
Yeah.
So I don't really care.
You know, what are we doing, Peter?
Dude, we're long.
Yeah, we've been going for a while. But I want to tie this all back together to the Force, because it's like the Force, what's good morality. It's like everything is self-evident. You can discover what is a good thing to do and what's a bad thing to do. And I think if you're able to like walk that line, because it's so thinly, that line is so thin. It's like you're on thin ice. It's like you can either fall left and go bad, or you can stay barely on the line to be. Honestly, this is how I see it. I feel like you're walking the plank, and that plank is good morality of like being a good person, doing the right things, and then everything else around you is evil. You can fall to the right, you can fall to the left, but that's an evil thing to do. And so walking that fine line, keeping that good morality, having that moral compass is the only way that I guess pepper spray to manipulation and corruption is like you have to figure out like, okay, there's people that are portrayed like Jesus, like Yoda, like certain things that like they're able to discover, they're wise, they're prudent enough to figure out what's actually the right thing to do in a situation and what's the wrong thing to do in a situation, because maybe the right thing in the situation at times could be something negative towards you. Maybe you have to suffer in the name of goodness. Like maybe suffering is the only good thing to do in a certain situation. Like fighting your way out of it, living or dying by the sword is not the answer. It's like you have to just take your medicine. You have to be able to suffer while keeping that moral compass and not like siding away and like leaving that structure for some like temporary like satisfaction in the meanwhile. Like I'll bring this up, like even like masturbating. Like masturbating cannot be a good thing. Like it definitely isn't a good thing, right? Like everyone who does it feels shitty after they do it.
And you're supposed to confess.
No, but like it's a bad thing to do. So I don't know. There's just so many like temptations. It's external, it's internal. It's like sin and temptation is everywhere around you, and there's only like a select few laws that you have to like keep your eye on. It's like always keep your eye on Christ, always keep your eye on what's good, what's true, and that's the only thing that gets you through situations in a good way. That's the only way. Because anything else, it's like you might be benefiting from being evil, but eventually it will catch up to you to the point where Anakin Skywalker's burning in lava, or he gets pushed down by someone who is good. like Luke Skywalker. Like eventually, if you take the shortcut, that shortcut will fuck you in the ass eventually. It will not be good for you. So rather than taking the short and easy route, sometimes you have to take your medicine and just be good for goodness sake. Be good for goodness sake. Because without goodness, I mean, it's anarchy.
Yeah.
Anarchy ensues. Find your path. Find your moral truth. I think moral truth can be found anywhere, no matter where you find us, no matter where you are in time. If you got people around you, you've got excess wealth. If you're poor, or Yellowstone collapses and you come out of your bunker 80 years later, you still have these moral truths that you hold dearly. And if you don't hold them dearly, then it only gets worse. It only gets worse. You know, life is suffering, but suffering can be tolerable through faith and good works. So, with that said, everyone who has made it this far, probably not. Our average retention to our podcast are probably 5 minutes. So if you've made it, and if you're one of the few, thank you for coming on, and go fuck yourself.